Gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to our business presentation. Those of you who've probably already been presented with the product know the value and the benefit of having not only the Nikken products, but the whole concept behind the wellness home, which really is the launch pad or the launch point of our business opportunity. We have a belief that we can make every home a wellness home. At least that is our desire, to make every home a wellness home, because the impact that that would have on our world and the way we live life would be astounding. And with that comes a huge business opportunities. You can only imagine how many wellness homes are possible out there. There's over 100 million in North America alone. So we got a big task, a tall order, and hence a massive crusade, and we're looking for help. Maybe that's you. Maybe you'll see the value of being involved with us as a business. I'm going to just share my screen here as we get our PowerPoint presentation loaded up and off to the races. Well, Nikken is really a choice, and you may have already made the product choice, and this is now your second presentation to learn about how this product choice can turn into a business option or a business opportunity for you. Choosing active wellness and collaborative entrepreneurship is really what we're all about. We're helping people make different choices than maybe the world has led them to. Maybe the conditioning of our life and the conditioning of our educational system and institutions have led us to simply follow to the line and become a member of the system, which I believe, and you believe probably by now, leads us down a pathway for less than the ultimate in life experience, whether it's our health or whether it's our finances. And so Nikken's approach to life is completely different. It's a holistic approach, recognizing that we're more than just a person or a body, that we have aspects of our life, all of which are important, equally important, and all of which require attention, but more than that, balance. The key to a healthy, happy life, we believe, is living a life in balance, whether that's the way you view the world through your mind, the way you live in your body and the experience that your body is able to give you, your family, your relationships, your extended family, society, your role and your contribution in that, and of course your finances, which is the means by which we're able to utilize the material world. And for many people, if we were to take a guess, a wild guess of 100 people you polled, which one of these 5 pillars do you think would be the one that was most out of balance? Perhaps the single greatest cause of stress in their life. And if you're thinking like I'm thinking, you've probably done your own self-analysis on this. You're right, it is finances. Modern life is creating tremendous stress, but the number one stress is not just health, although there are some people living under serious and considerable stress where the health is concerned, but even that is taxing to the finances. So when we look at it, whether it's the time, the lack of time, whether it's our health choices, where our body's concerned, the primary cause of stress in one's life is really finances. And it could be due to work conflict. It could be due to the lack of enough finances. Let's just take a look at that a little bit closely. Lack of money. Number one reason why most people are financially stressed. In fact, which kind of concerning is that if there was a challenge to someone's cash flow, whether it was a job or a business, they're probably within 90 days away from bankruptcy, is what we're told statistically. So that can be a huge amount of stress. I kind of liken that to, I don't know if you remember the Indiana Jones movie where he's running and running and running, and right behind him is this big ball chasing after him. And he's just seconds away from being crushed from this ball. Anybody you know can relate to that where finances are concerned. And particularly in America, healthcare costs are a rising concern. I live in Canada. Unfortunately, we have social health care, but there is a rising concern with healthcare costs and quality of health. And so people are seeking alternatives, and that costs money. And so as we turn our attention to better health, we're going to have to address the financial issue relevantly, I should say. Too much debt? Yeah, most people, in fact, that's a rising concern in Canada. They just recently announced statistics where there is a rising household debt. That, of course, comes with an increase in the cost of living, which is a monthly basis. And so that is putting a considerable amount of stress into place. And the cost of living itself is not going down. It's not going sideways. Despite what you may think with the fact that oil prices have come down, it creates the illusion. And in fact, I think it's quite on purpose that cost of living is going down. It's not. If you actually measure the staples of life, which could include food, clothing, shelter, the major costs of our life, you'll find that the cost is rising disproportionately to our ability to earn an income to match. And so people need some choices. some ulterior or alternative sources of income. Loss of employment is something that's affecting a large percentage of the population. It's one of the things that we measure. And of course, that is a huge cause for stress, especially if you're someone who's challenged by that. The rising cost of education, that's become top media news. Now looking at the fact that a lot of people, they graduate with a huge amount of debt, and sometimes it takes a number of years before they're even at break even, let alone being in a position to afford a life of any kind. The quality of living is going down, and they're telling us that the quality of life for the next generation will be considerably lower. In fact, they may not even live as long as us, the generation preceding them. Retirement savings, if you're coming close to that, and even if you're not, you should be thinking about that, because if you don't, and if you don't consider how you're going to fund your own retirement, you'll be stuck like so many people, over 90% of the population, who are not able to live at the quality of life they were used to when they were employed. And so you may end up doing something to have to do something, and that's not a good choice. Taxes are, of course, always an issue. There's only two things certain in life, as we say: death and taxes. So how are you addressing that issue, especially if you're self-employed? If you're not saving for that, again, you might need some more cash flow. So what is it that we in Nikken do as entrepreneurs? What is a Nikken entrepreneur? Well, let's get clear about what our purpose is, because when you get clear about the purpose, it's easy to understand the mission. Our purpose is to help others choose active wellness and live a life in balance, to make the choice we've made for ourselves. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Hence, our mission is every home a wellness home, because we know that as we increase the number of people who've embraced this idea of Nikken, this holistic approach to living, this holistic approach to health, as we help more and more people that make that choice, the impact is going to be to raise the water for all the boats all float higher. And so there's a huge opportunity in that, sharing with people, creating customers and supporting those customers, creating a team, which is what I enjoy the most, is the relationships that I've developed over the years that I've been involved. As a Nikken Royal Diamond, I've been with Nikken 24 years. That's a huge amount of time to invest in anything. And I haven't found that many people in my days who enjoy, after 24 years, what they're doing, if they've been doing it that long, and let alone as excited, if not more, for what they're doing, because they see the future ahead is even brighter. That's extraordinary in the landscape of business, to have a career possibility where decades from now, you'll be looking back thinking, wow, what an amazing ride. And look how much further we have to go before we make a serious dent in this cause. Belonging to a community of like-minded people is really perhaps the most priceless thing. It's the intangible that we get in Nikken that helps us experience a quality of life beyond the norm. A lot of stress comes from the workplace, and it's because of the people we're working with, because we have to sometimes. In our business, we choose to work with people who are of like mind. Being supported by those people, working in collaboration with those people, is an extraordinary benefit. So how do we do this? Well, we share active wellness and create wealth in the process. We have a proven process for creating change. First, we ask people, join Nikken. So if you've already joined as a consumer and you're starting to benefit the products, then this next jump for you is a $99 cost. It's not a big one. But now you can start building a Nikken business by referring others. And so we share and promote what it is that you've done for you and your family. And it's easy to do that because you're speaking firsthand. You're not asking people to do something you haven't done for yourself. We connect people through our many different opportunity presentations, either online, through our website, through the various communication means that we have, our social media platforms and so forth, and help them recognize the value that Nikken offers them, help meet their needs. Where are they at in life? In any one of those 5 pillars, or all of them. Nikken then takes over. We connect people to the company, and the company then does the delivery. They handle the heavy lifting. Kind of like Amazon.com. Pretty much now you can order just about anything online and have it shipped to your door, almost anywhere in the world. It's a remarkable concept, and this concept has made it possible for a company like Amazon to outsell Walmart at Christmas time this past year. So the business landscape has changed so dramatically that if you're not considering this as an opportunity, consider the impact of that change in the business you're involved in, and when will it actually affect you. And some are realizing that more sooner than later. So Nikken is a great alternative to take advantage of such a platform. And then on top of that, in terms of a business, since it's such a low cost of involvement, your products for yourself and your family is pretty much your cost of business, that we don't carry inventory. It's all warehoused by Nikken in their various warehouses throughout the world, and they deliver direct to the door for our consumers. So they really take the hard part of building an enterprise off of us. And so that leaves us to the easy part, which is sharing what we love, telling the story that we love to tell, and letting other people understand that there's a value and a benefit by connecting themselves to Nikken. And as a result, Nikken will reward us by sending us on the 15th of the following month a commission for all the volume that's been generated by ourselves and our organization. And that is a growing proposition. As you, number one, become a consultant for $99, we ask you to set a minimum benchmark for your business. It's not mandatory, it's not a requirement, but if you consider a franchise, and if you're about to create a franchise, you want those franchises to be successful, and you want them to do at least enough that if they start to duplicate, it creates a benefit for all, a pattern, if you will, of success. In our pattern, we start at 500 points of retail monthly sales. Now, I have to also point out that there are some additional benefits in our comp plan for doing that, and there's additional benefits for raising the bar on that. I personally am excited about raising the bar to 1,500 points a month. I just got, for the second month in a row, as a result of this new program with Nikken, an opportunity to purchase another $300 of Nikken products on Nikken for having met that qualification. So these are extra perks in addition to our comp plan that you might want to listen to and learn about. Help 5 people out there, friends, families, neighbors, acquaintances, coworkers, people you bump into. Help them learn about the benefits of Nikken, at least 5 people who you can address as a customer. And now you've done what you can now duplicate. You can now tell other people and share with other people what you did. And in doing so, help them build a business. That's step number 4. Partner up with some people who want more out of life and can see Nikken as a possibility. And now that you've done it yourself, it's easy to do. It's easy to share. We duplicate, build a solid long-term income. And when that duplicates, it can be pretty serious. We've got people making $1,300 a month on up to thousands of dollars a month. Clearly, within the realm of this and even beyond is a possibility for you. Whether you're doing this on a part-time basis, which, by the way, I might add, the majority of Nikken consultants do this about 10 hours a week. So you can see how the kind of income that's available for an additional 10 hours a week. Imagine that in your current reality. If you were to go to your boss or demand that out of your business, what would you have to do to add that type of income on a 10, 15-hour additional work week? So leveraging, taking advantage of an opportunity that's out there, that's going and growing, that's timely, and more people are interested in learning about, is the way to go. This also secures your income because you're not invested in one singularity. If something were to happen with that situation, you'd be quite vulnerable. And so this eliminates that. So build a team of entrepreneurs. We call this Teach 3 to Reach 3. And there's all kinds of benefits for doing that, from retail profits, cash bonuses, reward points, lifestyle bonuses. I've actually picked up all my cars. My very first brand new car was a Nikken, a Dodge Stealth, actually, that I was able to get on the back of the Nikken lifestyle bonus. This house I'm in, this is my office, and this is all paid for, again, thanks to the Nikken lifestyle bonus. So if you've got some ambition, or you've got some people who you think have some ambition, maybe you've got some children you'd like to help get along in life, then this is an amazing opportunity for that. Meaningful income, incentives, travel incentives. We're on our way down south soon. I hope you join us and you learn more about the event taking place in Orlando. And the big ticket in Nikken in terms of our income is those leadership bonuses. So leadership has rewards in Nikken, and my definition of leadership is getting interested in the welfare of other people. We're really a very product-driven company, but more importantly, we are a people-driven company. And so as you focus on the benefits of helping other people achieve their goals, you're going to see a lot of wonderful things happen in your life. And to help you with that, we've got the most incredible mentors, coaches. We have meetings both online, live. We have a lot of resources online, tools and training, websites and webinars, all of which are a fingertip away. Now, when I first got started in my career 24 years ago, boy, the delivery mechanism for information was pretty tough. We had to lug around paperwork. We had to lug around videos and ship and post and so forth just to get somebody to learn something. Now we can just invite them to a live webinar. How convenient is that? Or send them an email link. How convenient is that? And you can do that across state lines and across international lines, and quite literally, and I'm not kidding you, we're going to hear from someone here, build an international business from the comfort of your home. So the options are straightforward, part-time or full-time. There's an opportunity here for you to get your business life in control, your income in control, and create a financial security for you and your family. If you've not already started using these products, well, you're probably going to say, you know, when I get comfortable, if I know that these products really work, then I'll join and I'll start promoting this. Well, I just want to remind you, Nikken is a company that's been around 41 years. 41 years, multiple billions of dollars in sales. In fact, they have a record as the fastest growing privately held corporation in the history of Japanese business. All of these things that Nikken has done, grown internationally, they've done it without borrowing money. They've done it without commercial advertising. They've done it without bribing politicians or doctors or athletes or paying them off to say anything good about these products. They've done it purely and solely on people like me and the people you're going to hear from who've had an experience that they couldn't help but tell other people about. That says a lot about the value of these products. I'm sure you'll find these benefits are true for you as well. So let me just share my, stop sharing my screen. We've got some people I want to hear from. Susan, I've got Susan Carver, Al Ayoub, and I've got Bernadette McBurney. So let's start with Al. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Al, you're the newest kid on the block. You're coming to us from Ottawa, Canada, the capital of this country. And I know you're new. So how new are you actually to Nikken? Would you mind sharing?
I bought my first product in December. I bought the waterfall.
Okay, so your first exposure to Nikken was that as a customer. And by the way, what did you find out as a customer?
The waterfall, drinking the water was amazing. I'm a diabetic, and I couldn't believe that drinking the water regularly, and I enjoyed drinking the water. I've always drank water, but this water, my morning reads every morning were down by 1.5 points just from drinking the water, and I've lowered my insulin at bedtime from 24 units to 16 units. I was just doing the water, so that freaked me out.
Fantastic. And I was with Al just recently in Ottawa, actually earlier this week, and he introduced me to a gentleman who also was just drinking the water, who was suffering from acid reflux, this gentleman. Right. And just by drinking the Nikken, what happened there, Al?
Larry said within a week he stopped taking his pills, his acid reflux pills.
How does that make you feel?
That's the whole enjoyment of this, of doing this. You were talking about being in Nikken for 24 years. Well, I've had a restaurant now for 25 years, and I can't wait to get out and kind of jump into this full time and just go with it. It's so gratifying. Like I mentioned last week about one of the girls that works for me and her husband having fibromyalgia and not even be able to get a comfortable sleep, and then giving them the topper to try out for 3 nights, and it's like it was a fight to get it back from her. But they ordered they did what they had to do to order it, and now he's sleeping like a baby. It's just story after story. Like it's all so gratifying.
Have you had any of those kind of experiences in the restaurant business?
No, not at all.
And would you agree with me that there's more to a gratifying life than just money? That this is adding an element to your life that you didn't maybe even expect.
For sure, 100%. It's just, it's not about the money anymore. Now it's just, I want to get the word out to as many people as I can, and just seeing the joy on their face, that's more enough for me. And if I make $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month or whatever, I'm not, I'm fine where I am now in life, and this is just something I wanted. I needed a change, and this is perfect for me. I wish I, like I said earlier, last week I had looked at this years ago, and I wish I hadn't turned my back to it back then. So.
Well, timing is right now. And let me just ask you something now, since we sort of shied away from the money. This is the business presentation, so let me get back on the money for a second.
Okay.
So you got your Nikken products, and you're having a wonderful time with them. Now, your first month officially, I guess, was January, right? You kicked off your business? Okay.
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
It was amazing. The Michelle came up to Ottawa, and basically that last week in January, the last 4 days, if you want to, from Thursday to Sunday, we pushed about $9,000 in retail sales, and the following February 15th, I noticed there was just under $1,300 deposited into my bank account, and it was
That's
amazing.
awesome. That's awesome.
It was great.
I mean, you're in the black in your first month, and we're talking about, somebody who's an entrepreneur. And how much did you invest in getting your restaurant business started, if I may ask?
25 years ago, $350,000.
Wow.
$350,000. Can you imagine? $350,000 or $99? Okay, let's take a look at this here now.
And in your first month, you're plus $1,300 less your $99, so you're ahead $1,200.
Then I got my $301 in bonus the following month. So.
The product, that's right. Just like me. Fantastic. Thank you, Al. Thanks for sharing your story.
You're welcome. Thank you.
A great story. Let me ask Bernadette McBurney, who's in San Francisco. And Bernadette, I'm going to ask you, you're a veteran with Nikken, you're a Diamond Nikken wellness consultant, and you grew this business as a mom, pretty much a stay-at-home mom, with 3 kids. And so there's always women out there saying, how can I do this? I got a family, I got a husband, I got the responsibilities there. How do I build a business, and it's a big business from home when I'm so busy? And you did it. So maybe you can share a little bit your insights as to, number one, what's the value of Nikken for the benefits of the family? And number two, how'd you do it? How'd you build a business?
Well, what was phenomenal, just like Al, I had a wonderful product experience with my daughter who was 5 years old and was dealing with that for a year and a half. And so when I saw what it did for her in a very short time, she was on medication for 18 months, daily medication, 2 weeks on the sleep technology, there was no more problem whatsoever. So it was a no-brainer. I fell in love with the impact of the product. But what really attracted me to this is the fact that I could have a career from home. I put my career on hold to raise my children. That's the choice I made many years ago. So when I saw that, first of all, something of value that made a tremendous impact, and then I realized I could have a career from home that would allow me to build my life the way that I wanted. That was my motivation. And I think, to all the parents out there, moms, dads, who say, can I have a great career, but at the same time not sacrifice my quality of life and my family? Say, yeah, you can. You absolutely can, because that's what I did. I never had to go back to a job, literally, and there is no price to that. I have been able to be part of my children's growing up, for the last 16 years. So how did I do that? Because I saw what it could do for me. I created time. You're right, Mike. I was like a single mom. My husband was traveling 3 weeks a month, every single month, 12 months of the year. And it's pretty much still the case to this day, because that's what he does. So I knew that was my reality. So what I had to find a way to create time. And for me, what that meant at that time was hiring a babysitter 8 hours a week. That's what I put in, 8 hours a week. And it was 2 hours on Tuesday, 3 hours on Thursday, 2 hours on Friday. And I created a routine that would allow me to build this business. But during those hours, but what I'm saying is, why was I able to do this business that way? Because even though I did it with just a few hours a week part-time, I had the mindset of building this business. I was working as if it was full-time. So my mindset was as serious as if it was a full-time income. And that's really what made the difference. It's not taking it casually, but being just as having a work ethic that this business deserves. And that's what I did. And I say to people, time is never the issue. It's find the motivation, and there's plenty of people who can help us with that. There's no doubt about it.
And so you could say family was the motivation. You've been able to do like I have, watch your kids grow up and be at the events that most parents, especially 2 parents now working in a home just to make ends meet, it's a big deal, a big problem, I think, in society.
And the other thing that I want to add, Mike, and is I'm the kind of person, I'm originally from Europe. I lived all around the world. And, for me, the world is my oyster. And I want to be able to live wherever I want, whenever I want. And I don't want a job or a career or a business to limit my possibility. And that's another thing that Nikken can allow us to do, is we can move this. And all we need nowadays is that little thing. So there is nothing better than this.
I love it. Thank you. Thanks, Bernadette. Thanks for sharing. This is a colleague of mine, I remember, said, I didn't want to point to a map, point to a building and say, that's where I work. I wanted to point to a map and say, that's where I work. And so now, on that point, we're going to go to Susan Carver, who's coming at us from Orlando, Florida. Now, Susan, you have built a large business, a very successful business, especially in the Latin American market, even though you're living in Orlando, Florida. So perhaps you can give us a bit of a screenshot of what is it like to be able to do that, and maybe a highlight of your career.
Well, thank you, Mike. First of all, thanks for having me on the call. This is a joy to talk with Al. He's a real happy guy. So my investment in Nikken, I just did the calculation, is 1% of what you put in your restaurant. So, so I just wanted to, share that one with you right there. I was just like, wow, I invested 1% of what this guy did, and it's worked out pretty good. I've had the pleasure of being full-time in Nikken for 20 years. I haven't had a job. I love what Bernadette's talking about, of something about working from home and moving as you want to, as long as you have some accountability to your people so they can reach you. You're not like checking out for 4 or 5 days and disappearing on everyone. I remember I went on a cruise to Europe, Bernadette, for 2 weeks, and I didn't do any Nikken because I was on a cruise ship visiting Greece and Italy, and I missed this business. And when I got home, I couldn't wait to get back connected with the people, because Mike, you made a beautiful point that it's the relationships that we have with people that is so satisfying in this business, because I believe that Nikken truly attracts a certain type of person. They're very heart-driven. If they weren't, they would be looking for something quick and fast and, whatever's hot right now, let me jump on it. But to really care for someone that cared enough for Al's issues with his diabetes, and then for Al turn around and just, this last week with you, and then care for another friend that he has that's suffering with those issues with acid, that takes a different type of person. And so I love the tribe, so to speak, of all these people that, yes, we're business people. I didn't get into this to, looking for another thing to do. I had a dead-end job, and I wasn't looking for something extra to add on my plate. I was looking to take my job off. But I liked the feel of the people involved that made me feel like, wow, this is collaborative entrepreneurs, but it's entrepreneurs with compassion. As far as the global business, 20 years ago when I registered my name with this Japanese manufacturer, I couldn't see that. I couldn't see at all international anything. I only speak, I'm a typical American. I speak one language, and I didn't see that at all. But that's where I was pulled. That's where the connect the dots kind of led. And when I went down there the first couple of times and saw how open that the Latin market, that the South American market people are about air and water and taking care of themselves with natural means instead of doing something with pills or surgery, they jumped all over it. And 1 out of 5 people in South America are like Al, and they're diabetic. So I don't, mean to use a slang, but that's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, when you got an insole that makes that kind of impact, that has the studies behind it and the testimonials and the track record, and you're looking for people who have no answer, and you can go ahead and take 20% of the entire population and give them something, it started to spread. But it was that first choice of going down there and say, hey, just being open, and the company was getting ready to open Panama, and my mother, my dad, they're like, it's Thanksgiving. What do you mean? You're not going to be here. So yeah, I took some time away from the family pillar, But that little seed that I did that day has, morphed or whatever, mushroomed into thousands and thousands of trees. I think the last time I looked at my printout, it was 10,000 people in 9 countries. So, did I see an international business coming? No. I mean, Bernadette's Miss World Traveler, who I think speaks, 19 languages or something. I just got one. So it was a real blessing to be able to do that from home, to create a nice 6-figure income. No one in my entire family has ever had an opportunity to create a 6-figure income while working at home, while maintaining the quality of life, for myself and for others. It's just been a joy. And I think, let me just close with this. I think back every once in a while, like every few months, I'll think back and say, I came this close to not going to that wellness preview and looking at this Japanese company. I came this close to saying, Seinfeld, it was on a Thursday. I believe Seinfeld was on Thursdays. And I'm like, you know what? I know that looks funny this week. And a little voice said, no, you need to go look at this. Japanese are excellent in business, but all of us on this call have been customers. We've been buying their televisions. We've been buying their cars, their cameras, their gadgets. But none of those Japanese companies ever offered any of us on this call a chance to partner and set up the distribution. And so it's so exciting that we get to be in partnership with this Japanese company, be on the other side of the desk, and actually setting up the distribution all at the same time of saying, I don't want to work in that building. I want to work. I mean, that's so funny you talking about this, but there's my map right over there. And all those little red dots, which you can't see, are all the places that I've, gone. So to wrap this up, people, if you ask them, number one, what's wrong is their finances. But if you ask people what they want to be doing, they say travel. And here we get to do this with tax benefits. I just finished my taxes yesterday, and my accountant's going to fall over because it's the first time I've finished them on time. But it's like I looked at the deductions and the life experiences and the cultures that I've been able to take in, and I'm like, I came this close to turning this down because I was ignorant on truly what the big picture is and what's possible. And so I'm so grateful to be part of this community, to be part of this tribe. And it's a life work. But it's not even work, Mike. It's not even work. Going and having dinner with friends. You went up to Ottawa. Hopefully Al bought you dinner. He owns a restaurant, for crying out loud.
We had some good food.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful career with options.
Fantastic. Well, that says it all, and we're well into our time. So I want to thank everyone who's shared their story with us, all of you who are listening in tonight, and those of you who are able to watch this on playback. Hopefully this evening, this presentation, whatever time zone you're in and you're watching this, has had an impact on you to, if not make the decision to go ahead and join us. Really, it's not a very big decision. It's $99 US, and that's about $3,000 Canadian, I think, these days. But we really hope that you decide to join us, because we really do look forward to welcoming you and joining you in and helping you build a Nikken business. Thanks, everyone.